it happened. It actually happened. After wanting this to happen so badly, for Bray Wyatt to finally become a WWE champion, it actually happened. In the podcast, we talked about this, and the consensus was that we would love for this to happen, but let's be real. This is not going to be the main event of WrestleMania as in the last match. That is not the conversation. We got to celebrate everything that happened at WWE Elimination Chamber 2017. Here's my full-length review. Instead of Ryan, it is moi, yours truly. We will be covering it in detail, as well as Raw, SmackDown Live, and everything in between in the podcast in the next Wednesday. Overall, I have to say the show was solid. It is a solid 3 out of 4. There are many reasons as to why I am not giving it a 4. I'm not giving it a 2. But, instead of talking about it right now, I figured it's best to just begin my review on a match-by-match basis. We first had the pre-show. So Sam Roberts from the wrestling podcast that he has was in the pre-show once again. I listen to his show weekly, on a weekly basis. I do enjoy it, and I think that his contributions there were pretty good. It was a little awkward between him and Carmella because she was fully in character and then interrupting at some points. I guess that she was the one that the production crew wanted to hey, this isn't hurrying up, so say something quickly, like just cut him off. And they keep doing that, so I'm not sure what the purpose of all this was, but whatever, right? Like, it was something to at least keep us entertained while we had the first and only match taking place at the Kickoff. Mojo Rawley versus Kurt Hawkins. Zack Ryder probably watching somewhere anxiously. Mojo got the win with that tilt-a-whirl slam. Now, it seemed like at some point Kurt Hawkins was going to go for a spear edge style. He was in the corner, doing the whole hype up, and that was pretty cool, but not much to really say. Some people tweeted, this right here was the definition of a pre-show match. Two people that aren't really anywhere else right now, so they just kind of threw them in there. But it was a solid match, fun things before we got the pay-per-view itself, which began with an awkward thing with the German announce team. Poor guys, right? Like, they switched the camera right to them, and then they just look like, is this on? Do I say something right now? I'm not sure. And leading up to the actual matches, first we had Becky Lynch versus Mickie James. I have my notes for everything here because, well, sometimes I forget. So, notes are your friends. I will say that this was a really good match that I think clarified that Mickie can hang with not divas, but with women, because some people still perceive Mickie as, well, she was part of a different generation. Maybe she doesn't work so well now. I do think that she works very well now. The match, it seemed like they were 50-50 in terms of that either one could win. And I like the fact that it was a modified roll-up victory because, as we said in the podcast, if Mickie James lost, cleanly, just devastated, then why are you coming back? Some people are saying, oh, she dropped out to Becky Lynch. No, they both look great in the match. I like how JBL referenced that Mickie has been wrestling elsewhere, so it's not like she left WWE and then magically disappeared for years. So that creates curiosity. Where has she been? Maybe some of these other women can eventually make their way up to the WWE roster. So, pretty fun match to kick things off. And then, for whatever reason, this was a recurring thing throughout the whole show. Ellsworth and Carmella had their own special seating up in the skybox. So after every match, seemingly we kept going back to them, just giving a review about it. I thought it was stupid. I get it, but the Ellsworth train, I think, has really set off. I have my No Chin Music hat that I guess I'll put on for the next match for no real reason here, which is Dolph Ziggler versus Kalisto and Apollo Crews. This was an odd one because what do you do when the bad guy is the one that has the odds stacked up against him? Don't you want to cheer him? Be like, man, you're taking on two guys. So yeah, he takes out Kalisto at the beginning of the match, which leads to a one-on-one match between him and Apollo Crews. Later on, Kalisto comes back. Ultimately, Ziggler gets a thank you Ziggler chant when everything transpires. At the end, Kalisto and Apollo Crews double team, and they overcome the odds. They beat the one bad guy. I really don't know. Am I supposed to feel bad for Ziggler? Because I kind of did. Man, I get you've been beating these guys down, but you lost 2-on-1. You should have gotten at least a tag team partner. But then, yeah, he beats the crap out of them. The people love it. Maybe Apollo Crews' ankle is out, so now maybe the feud turns into just Kalisto versus Dolph Ziggler for the time being. I have a really hard time becoming invested in this iteration of Dolph Ziggler for many different reasons that I've talked about in the podcast. He seems to just be the same guy with a bit of a more pissed off attitude. Up next, we have the tag team turmoil match, which first began with the teams of Slater and Rhino and Breezango. Fandango, man, he's so damn good. I really hope they eventually do something with the guy. I'm a big fan of Johnny Curtis and all the potential that he had all the way back in NXT Redemption. But that first bout, that first tag team match, lasted far longer than I thought it would. But yeah, we got a gore to Dongo. Then out came the Vaudevillains, but Slater got the glorious DDT basically to Ain't English for the 3 count. They lasted, I thought they were going to last 4 seconds, the Vaudevillains in that match. But, they actually had a pretty good outing there. And then out came the Usos, and they eliminated Heath Slater with a super kick. And then American Alpha, sorry, I'm still feeling very sick, but then American Alpha came out, eliminated the Usos, but the Usos beat them down. So then many people, myself included, thought, holy crap, are we going to see the Ascension walking out as the tag team champions? No, we are not seeing that. Seemingly never. Grand Amplitude happened, so they retained no Revival, but if you've been keeping up with NXT, the Revival does have a program and a title match for TakeOver during WrestleMania weekend, so I don't think we'll be seeing them anytime soon, at least until after WrestleMania weekend. But this, man, the American Alpha, they need characters. Their gimmick cannot just be they're good wrestlers. Even Kurt Angle, for as good a wrestler as he was, he could be the comedic character. He could be the pissed off character. He could be the cowardly character. He can play something, and being a wrestler completes the package, but is not the only thing in that package, right? So right now, this whole thing is cool, but up until this point in the show, you get the feeling, at least this is how I felt, I'm seeing something there, but not really. And the same thing can be said with Nikki Bella versus Natty versus Natalya, which was the next match. I thought this was a very slow match. Now, I'll admit I'm a little bit biased in the sense that I've just not cared about this feud, so I was not invested in this match. It ended in a double countout. I kept getting annoyed at the fearless lock. It doesn't roll off the tongue. Fearless lock, fearless, blah, blah, blah. Yes lock. Okay, quick to the point. STF, AA, those work. Fearless lock is a very long name. Then again, we have Sister Abigail, but, whatever. Let's go back to this match here. I thought that, they did something good. We got the backstage beatdown later on to just cement that some things are still happening with Nikki and then possibly with The Miz. We got the seeds planted possibly for their match at WrestleMania. But, yeah, this match didn't do it for me. It really didn't do it for me, especially because we had 2 actual good women's matches. So, honestly, we all win because, regardless of the women's movement or not, a bad wrestling match or a match that I don't care about is still just a match that I don't care about. So we got 2 great women's matches. I can't really complain here. Up next, this was probably my match of the night. We have Randy Orton taking on Luke Harper. Luke Harper, he may be my, I want him. I want 2017 to be his year. It's not going to be with the current Luke Harper character because I think he can only go so far, especially now that we have Bray Wyatt as a champion. where does somebody like Luke Harper fit into all of this? I think the answer is nowhere. Even though he lost, and I love that stunner RKO sell that he does, man. Like, he drops to his knees for the RKO. It's so damn good. And then you look at the pacing of this match, I think that the whole thing was to get Luke Harper elevated to the same level as Randy Orton. They did it. They did it. I don't think anybody doubts that Luke Harper is an incredibly talented superstar. The man is athletic. He can do tope suicidas, mamma mia, hashtags, and all that fun jazz. It was an enjoyable match. My favorite match of the night because it was my first pay-per-view match. You know, with the SmackDown live shows, because I enjoy them for the most part, they tend to have really good matches, like, you know, Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch and all that. So up until this point, I thought that we've gotten solid matches that we can probably see on SmackDown. But here, this felt like the attraction. Like, okay, here's Randy Orton. He's the number one contender. Here's Luke Harper, not the number one contender, but he probably should be. He probably should be. So do something with Luke Harper. Change the character as soon as possible, because it needs to be the year of the Harp with an A. And then, yeah, we got the backstage segment between Natty, Nikki, Maurice. So there was the baby powder thing. It's been a long-standing rumor that we may be getting The Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella at WrestleMania. Given the conclusion of the main event and what we just saw here, I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to go. And honestly, you know, it gets The Miz elevated. Plus, you can definitely look back to his previous storyline with John Cena. And WWE.com basically hinted at this when they said, hey, this is a feud that needs to get kickstarted. It's weird when they talk about it like that, but they did, right? So that's probably going to happen. Now, Naomi and Alexa Bliss, very solid match. I am super happy. I actually got a little bit emotional that Naomi won because I think that she does deserve it. I know that out of all the things that I'm saying right now, this could be the most controversial one, but Naomi does deserve it. Think about how far she came from. You know, she was a Funkadactyl, and I think that somebody like Cameron never got past that. People always saw her as a Funkadactyl, and then Naomi, like, it got to a point after that where you could tell there was something in there, but she was still very anxious wrestling. Like, there was a lot of things in there that needed work, and anybody can always improve, right? But she is up there. I think that her becoming champion is good because we're getting out of this whole circle where unless you're Sasha Banks, you know, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Bayley, unless you're one of those, you're treated as a lesser woman's superstar. So I think that people like Alexa Bliss and Naomi still need to get elevated. You know, same thing with Nia Jax and Carmella and everybody else. But this is a really, really solid step. The finish was a little weird where at one point Naomi did technically hit her moonsault, but to Alexa Bliss's rear view. But then whatever, right? Like, you know, it all got fixed in the end. They went for it again. Sparkle splash to the knees, and like Alexa Bliss bounce. Like that looked painful. Naomi wins. Emotional speech at the very end. This was the happy moment of the night, right? Like, if you look at the whole show, the one thing that everybody should universally be happy about is that Naomi is your new women's champion. You know, really giving us a lot of different opportunities, different outcomes that we can get on the road to WrestleMania. Plus, she is from Orlando. She's probably not going to walk out of Orlando as the champion, but she's going to get that massive pop, and I get to be part of that audience alongside Ryan and Keith, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then now, getting to the main event match, the Chamber. Before we get to the match, you know, I guess I got to talk about the structure itself. Before the show kicked off, there were rumors that the structure, much like the Hell in a Cell, got a makeover. And it did. Let's talk about the good things and then the bad things. The good things. It looks fancier. It looks larger. It's cinematically much more adequate for camera use. Like, I love the top-down view. You know, the way that the WWE logo is right there in the middle. It looks nice. It visually looks very nice. I think that this is something that is also visually more appealing for the live audience. I attended the Chamber match that happened at New Year's Revolution in Puerto Rico, and the Chamber in person looks large, but not that large. I think this looks more visually impressive. The bad. When you're watching it in HD, as pretty much all of us are on the network for $9.99, you see that they've obviously made it safer, and it makes sense, right? Like the Chamber wrestlers have said historically, it is actually dangerous. It actually hurts like a bee, and they've gone about things to change it. So like on the outside, now there's like this padding or something to lessen the impact. It seems like the chains themselves are made out of aluminum or some kind of material that weighs less. So as a result, even though it looks visually impressive, up far, maybe if you're like in the live audience or something, as you continue to watch the match, you don't hear the impact that you used to hear from the chain or the falls from the outside. Like when Dean Ambrose fell, that diving elbow drop to John Cena, it looked like a pillow, man. I was like, can they pipe in? I know we complain about them piping in crowd reaction, but could they like pipe in, like some kind of like impact sound? We already got the slapping of the thigh with the kicks and all that. May as well complete the package with this because the impact wasn't there. So before talking about the match, I think that from now on, if this is the Chamber that we're going to get, we need to escape the mentality that we're going to get a vicious match, with blood, with a bunch of marks over the body. And we need to treat it as a compliment to what would otherwise be a fun 6-man match. It's basically an Elimination Chamber with pods. And even the pods are like made out of this plastic material that when Dean Ambrose got smashed through it, it looked like, oh, okay, man, you went through it, but not sure that hurts too much. Now, I'm saying this is not a wrestler, so this probably still hurts to some extent. But, it is what it is. Now, the actual match, we had Cena and Styles started out, and then we got Dean Ambrose, followed by Bray, Corbin, and The Miz up last. I'm not going to do a full play-by-play thing because you guys already probably watched it, and if not, I think it's good that you watch the match for yourself and be the judge of what were the best spots or not. I enjoyed, we got a Tower of Doom with like the choke toss on behalf of Bray Wyatt. We got The Miz being scared of Corbin the moment he went into the match, and he really capitalized on Corbin being eliminated by Dean and then just pinning Dean Ambrose. So right there, we already know another match. So we have technically Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. We have The Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. And then we seem to probably have Baron Corbin versus Dean Ambrose. Keep in mind, I'm recording this, not watching the Talking Smack after the pay-per-view. So if anything changes or not, I'm not going to watch that till tomorrow because I do need to get me to sleep because I got to get to work. So I thought that this was a very fun match. I think that as a Chamber match, it's probably in my top 5, not for the viciousness. Just, I was happy, right? Like, I got to be biased. Bray Wyatt, I wanted him to win. He did end up winning. I saw some things that I did enjoy. But I do think that this structure changed, at least until they got to do something. Yeah, the sound. I'm not going to keep repeating it, but it just didn't feel like, an Elimination Chamber. You always think about Eric Bischoff's voice, at least I do, when they talk about that. This feels softer. This feels like, not as vicious. So I think that it was a fun thing. I was very happy that John Cena got eliminated. I did not want John Cena and Bray Wyatt or John Cena and AJ to be the last two because we've already seen that. I like that the last two are people that have never really been in that type of situation together. So you didn't know, like, okay, so are we getting AJ? And then this is how Cena with the rematch clause, he gets the title back and we still get Bray versus Randy by itself. Or is Bray going to be the champion headed to WrestleMania? And of course, along the way, there's got to be some kind of rematch clause thing unless they make it a multi-man match, which I really hope they don't. But then I'm not sure if Bray Wyatt is going to walk out of WrestleMania as champion. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back here. Springboard 450, doesn't get the job done. Bray Wyatt hits the sister Abigail for the 3 count. I marked out. I actually got up my seat. I started clapping. I was super happy about that. This was my feel-good moment, not just the Naomi one. So overall, as I mentioned, I got to give this show a 3 out of 4. We actually put a poll on Twitter, and as of right now, I see that the majority also gave it 3 out of 4, stating it was solid at 44%, followed by 34% saying 4 out of 4, great. Only 3% gave it a 1 out of 4, saying it was a bad show. So it seems like we're on a pretty good road to WrestleMania. And I would like to get your thoughts. Which was your favorite match? Mine had to be Luke Harper versus Randy Orton. Let me know in the comments section. As I told everybody just right now in this video, hoping my voice recovers a little bit more, we will be talking about the Chamber alongside Raw and SmackDown Live on the podcast, available every single Wednesday. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. You can also check out, if you're wondering about this mask and all the things that I have here, I have an unboxing video of the pro wrestling loot available on the channel right now. You can check it out. Who needs sleep? You can enjoy that right now. You can also go to buythat.com if you want to contribute, make a one-time donation to help support everything that it is we do, or head on over to patreon.com/buythat. For just $1, you get access to our Patreon exclusive pre-show and a raw and uncut video version of the podcast, alongside exclusive updates and many things that help us shape the way we go about things on the road to WrestleMania. Point with me. Thank you for watching. This has been my review. Give me your review in the comment section below. And until next time, we will be back with a lot more right here on Byte That.